Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Giragosian, and I am a co-chair of the Writing Contest committee in WCI. And I'm here to introduce the winner of the personal essay category, Astrid Marz, who will be reading from her essay Shame and sharing with us some of her insights about her writing process and about her piece. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Astrid, and feel free to read from your essay.
Thank you so much. Should I just start? I'm sorry.
Go for it.
If summer is anything at 16, it's an alternate reality that exists in a sweet place between innocence and adulthood. It's driving by ourselves for the first time and playing music as loud as we want to. It's nights spent scooping ice cream for dollar tips and finding ourselves in later nights drunk in the middle of cornfields. It's concerts at SPAC and hungover breakfast dates. It's drugs and limitless dreams and stardust and hope to bees. But then it turns into fear and doubt and am I even good enough and what the fuck is wrong with me and distracting ourselves with work in order to feel like it didn't happen. Sometimes the temperature outside or the humidity in the air takes us back and we feel the same shame we felt then. We breathe and count to 5 until we can function again and we move on. We say nothing. We don't say that it takes us back to when we're 16. I don't say that it takes me back to when I'm 16. The air in the auditorium is cold, crisp. Behind the stage, I shiver, wait to be called up and go out on stage in front of hundreds of members of my community. I wait for him, flower in hand, ready to get off the stage, to watch him graduate, to be the proud, doting girlfriend I have always been, even when he did not deserve it. I wait for him to imitate everyone on stage before him, the hug, the silent thank you, taking of the carnation, and walking politely back to sit. He does walk, late, makes me wait. His stride is exaggerated. Over his eyes appears a veil, a glaze-tinted milky red. His smile turns up at its corners. I know he's high before I smell him. When he reaches me, he plants a big, wet kiss on my lips and walks away, forgetting the flower and leaving me stunned on stage, a deer caught in headlights as I think of the children, parents, and grandparents in the audience. He sits down before laughing and coming back up, taking the flower and planting yet another inappropriately graphic kiss on my lips. I try to brush it off because he's high, and in my 16-year-old mind, that somehow makes his complete disregard for my autonomy okay. But it's not okay, except it has to be because this is his day. It's not mine. I'm an accessory, and I have to be supportive. How can I say I didn't like that or that wasn't okay? It's his graduation. I can't ruin it for him. I can't be the bitchy girlfriend who can't hang. He was high, for Christ's sakes. I walk back to the audience, trying to disappear into a corner of the auditorium. I'm so proud of him for graduating. That's an achievement, but it's hard to focus on anything other than the burning embarrassment I feel. After the ceremony, our time is brief. We take one photo and get into his car, a red Oldsmobile that he pulls next to the train tracks. He lights a joint. This is a smell that might as well be his cologne. He offers it to me, but I decline. I sit on the hood of his car now, watching him light up. He's never been happier, he tells me. He's finally free. You know what would make it even better? He slides next to me, still smoking. If we, he places his hand on my thigh. He reeks of weed and sweat. The past 3 summers with him have been characterized by this scent. Always weed, always sweat. He stopped trying to hide it from me after the first few incidents, after my submission. Before I'm even aware of it, he places himself between my legs. The entitlement he feels again astounds me. He feels more of a right to my body than I do, and he knows it. He knows it in the way he makes me wait. He knows it in the way he kisses me for everyone to see. He knows it as his hands push my dress up, pulled my underwear down. He doesn't look at me. He doesn't ask. He doesn't listen to the quiet protests I managed to convey. He's pushing against me, and I'm tense. The rigidness of my body should be deterring him, right? The dryness is screaming, don't do this, right? My hands nudging him away are being noticed, right? Wrong. He continues as if I hadn't said no, as if the physical signs rejecting his advances aren't there. I'm a mix of numbness, as if my chest will explode. My boyfriend can't rape me, can he? But then it stops. The scent I'm painfully aware of each summer now pulls away and light shines behind us. Shit, I hear him mutter. We gotta go. Sorry. My breath shakes, imitating my body's motions. I find myself in the passenger seat of his car, but I can't seem to remember moving. He's saying something now, but I can't hear him. I can't see him. I can't feel him. I can't feel me. Somehow we come to my house. He sits in the driveway staring at me. He's waiting for me to leave. Shakily, my hand finds the door. He says nothing about what just occurred. Not an apology, not a thank you. Hell, he doesn't even say goodbye. He leaves and I'm standing in the driveway, surrounded by the sweaty air that reminds me so much of him. When I look at myself in the mirror, I see my body tainted with handprints of violation. There's a sense of separation, a lack of ownership between me and this body. It's his. He made it his because I never claimed it to be mine, and I still can't. Not a soul will know this either because I'm 16 and I shouldn't have been in that situation anyway. I'm weak for allowing him to do this. He's my boyfriend. I have nothing to complain of. Isn't there a sense of entitlement there? Isn't he supposed to do this? Haven't all his friends done this to a girl or another? Isn't it natural? Aren't I supposed to want it? Maybe I did, but I didn't yell. I should have been more vocal. I should have wanted it. But I was vocal and I didn't want it, and all the signs were there and the words and the motions for that. I didn't scream. I shouldn't have had to. I should have listened. But I don't come to this conclusion until I'm 18 and I've gone through years of avoiding mirrors and not showering in public spaces, till I've seen the marks of my submission plague my physical existence for too long, till my heart has beaten all too quickly each time he's around, till I've not felt autonomy over myself for the remaining years of high school, until he's long gone. And when I talk about it, it's selfish. I don't speak about it because of the Me Too movement. I don't speak so that another girl can avoid the same fate. I don't speak to make others feel as though they aren't alone. I speak because everybody around me is telling me how much of an asshole he is, and that somehow reflects on me for being with him, even though we've been broken up for years. I tell them that I'm sorry for his unkind words and that I'm sorry I gave him support and affection that he didn't deserve at those times. But I tell them he tried to rape me and we ended in a place between rape and sexual assault, so could you please stop pretending that him being a dick to you is the worst thing that happened? Hell, it comes out angry, and I'm angry at everyone and everything, but the truth is that they didn't know. There was no way they could have. I didn't feel enough of a sense of ownership over myself to tell them. He owned me then, but he didn't anymore. The next time I speak about it, it's less angry and it's less defensive. It's my story, yes, but it's more than that. It's a declaration to myself that I belong to me and that I will always belong to me. No one can take it away.
Thank you so much, Astrid. This is such a beautiful essay. It's so poignant, and it takes courage to share this story. So thank you for that. And thank you for a beautiful delivery as well.
Thank you.
One of the things that I really admire about this essay, and what my students admired as well, is the voice. The voice is so lively, it feels so authentic. It's energetic, it's vivid. Can you tell us a little bit about finding that voice in this essay?
Honestly, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that this assignment was there and I didn't know what to write about. And it was a few days before it was due, and I was in a bad place and I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm pissed off and I'm going to write. And I wrote it. And then I had our TA read it over and I just made some revisions, but honestly, it was me being angry and it came out like that. But I'm glad it did, because that's how I feel and that's how I talk, and I want it to be me because it is me.
Yeah, I mean, it's angry, but it's suffused with personality and insight and observation, really close observation. And I think that's one of the points of dramatic tension in the essay, is the fact that the narrator is so observant, is taking everything in and rendering it in such a vivid way, whereas the partner seems oblivious and is not noticing how you as the narrator feel. Was that like kind of a conscious movement, dramatic movement that you were thinking about as you were writing the essay, or did it happen maybe more organically as you were writing?
I don't think I was necessarily conscious of it while I was doing it. I think that is the way I remember him, because I think there are a lot of events in life that happen where it hurts you so deeply, or you feel it so deeply, and then the people around you are completely oblivious to it. And he absolutely was. It wasn't like a movie thing where, they know they're doing it and it's happening, and, it wasn't. It was just, he was blissfully unaware that I was being scarred. But
Yeah, and I think you capture that so well. There is this feeling throughout the essay that there's like this incredible blindness, and if he could only see you and respect your autonomy, and there's that desire for that kind of validation for seeing you as you are. I can imagine it's hard to write an essay like this because it is exploring a memory that is tragic and it's difficult. And yet at the same time, this is an essay that still has moments of subtle humor and insight. And so I think finding that balance is one of the things that I really admire about this essay as well. And, achieving a kind of tonal balance throughout. Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I really wanted it to convey, life, because I think the way that I view life is that there are good moments and there are bad moments. But everything happens for a reason, and the things that happen teach you something. And so I didn't want it to all be like, when I was 16, I was treated like shit and this was awful. And because it was awful and it did happen and that's horrible. But I learned a lot from it. I have a sense of autonomy over myself. Nobody's going to treat me like crap anymore. And life is funny, and there are good parts and bad parts. And I don't know. I wanted that to be present instead of just 5 pages of this fucking sucks.
The other thing I think that's really powerful about this essay is it doesn't moralize. You come to this conclusion that you deserve better, but it's not because of the Me Too movement. It's not because of some great insight at that particular moment. It's, hearing from your friends. And I think you're really kind of deflating readers' expectations at that moment, avoiding kind of a moralizing tone. I think that's really effectively done. But I'm wondering now if your thoughts about the Me Too movement have changed, if you see your story as part of that, as a story that has meaning for the collective.
I mean, I would hope it does, honestly, because I don't know about you, but I don't know any woman in my life that hasn't had some sort of sexual violation. There's every woman that I know, all of my friends, older women, everybody has some sort of violation over their bodily autonomy from a guy in a sexual manner that they haven't wanted. And this was mine. And I don't know, I hope that a 16-year-old girl reads it and dumps her shitty fucking boyfriend that doesn't respect her. So in that sense, I hope it is a voice for the collective. But when I was writing it, it was just, I know he was awful and I know he was mean to you, but it's not a reflection of me and it shouldn't be.
That's excellent. Yeah. Which makes your title, I see your title in a new way now. shame, right? Like you're transcending the initial shame.
Yeah. No, it's not a shame over my body. Of course I felt that too, but it was a shame that I felt for being connected to him in any way.
Yeah, that's powerful. Do you want to say more about your writing process, what it was like to write this essay, what it was like to come back to it later and to make revisions and kind of re-see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially writing it, to be completely honest, it was like a few days before it was due, and it was like 2 a.m. and I was in the common area of my dorm room, on like a caffeine high, just like getting it out. But then as I revised it, it definitely was kind of, I don't want to say traumatic, but like it definitely, it makes me feel the way in my chest that I do when I smell like humidity and weed and like, I don't know. I think there are some things that maybe you just can't move past. And I think that I've moved past, but I can't forget that it happened. And every time I read it and I revise it, it is that, but it's also more of a sense of normalcy within myself that like, this is just part of my life and it happened, but it's not going to happen again. And I know that.
That's really powerful. And there is this kind of a strong sensory detail throughout your essay. And I can imagine you experiencing it on a visceral level when you were writing this. I think that comes through in the piece. Yeah. And I also just really like as well the way that it's in present tense, so that we feel immersed in, what you were experiencing at the time. But then there's also this retrospective narrator that comes in at times, the 18-year-old self who's writing this and kind of gently correcting or kind of, helping your younger self to receive this experience. Was it difficult to keep those two narrators in mind as you were writing it, or did that feel right to you as you were writing?
I think it just felt right because the reflection process that I went through wasn't just like when it happened and then, I'm just looking back at it now because I have to write something. That was like a continual process that I felt every single day of my life for years. So I think it was important to include that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a really smart narrative decision, to include both the self that was experiencing the trauma in the lived moment, but also this slightly, I say slightly more mature because you were only 2 years older.
Yeah, I know.
You wrote it, but clearly mature, but able to see this through a different lens. Yeah.
I think part of that too is like, I don't know, like the way that you treat your friend, the way that you speak to your friends is so kind and so loving, and you're so supportive. You wouldn't want anybody to hurt your friends. And yet when things like this happen to ourselves, we're like, oh, well, maybe I could have done something differently. But I think when I was 18, I came to the realization that just like, if this had happened to my friends and when things like this did happen to my friends, I wasn't asking them what they could have done differently. And there's no reason that I should be doing that to myself either, because I should be kind to myself and love myself just like I do other people.
That's beautifully said. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was really an honor to get to know your work better, to get to know you better. I'm so delighted that your piece is being celebrated by the entire WCI community right now, and that it has a large audience. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Astrid. Is there anything else that you want to say about your piece or about the experience of sharing this piece with the community?
I think I just hope that the community doesn't get tired of Me Too-like pieces, because women and men who are affected by it deserve to be able to share it without an eye roll or we've already heard this before, because you've already heard it before because it happens a lot, and now we're talking about it.
And maybe that's the way that we transcend the shame, right? Is to continue to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Astrid.
Thank you so much for having me.